Joining us right now, he is the former Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. He is the former chairman of the Republican National Committee and former co-host of mine when Brian Wilson is on vacation.
Yeah.
He's Michael Steele. I like to call him affectionately my chocolate dome. Michael Steele, thanks for joining me this morning.
You are a sick man.
Well, that is a bona fide and well-accepted fact.
Chairman Steele, I don't know if you've been hearing the debate. It's really been happening right here on our program over the last few days between Reince Priebus, your successor at the RNC, and Mark Levin, our colleague here at WMAL. There's a big argument about what support or how much support the RNC gave to Ken Cuccinelli in the Virginia for governor race. You put a whole lot of money into the McDonnell for governor race 4 years ago. In fact, some people even criticize you that you put too much money in. Where do you stand on this, and what would you have done had you been the chairman of the RNC during this election?
Well, the circumstances are probably a little bit different today than they were at the time 4 years ago, but I certainly would have made a very concerted effort, just like we did then, to get the resources on the ground. We started very early in 2009, about April or May, sat down with McDonnell campaign, laid out the map where we wanted to open offices, and we began to invest that money. So the thing that kicks me is that I'm getting criticized now for doing what we did then as the reason for not having success now. So in other words, because I spent $9 million on McDonnell's campaign, as one RNC source said, I'm just we were hard pressed. We didn't have the cash in 2011 and 2012. I'm like, what are you talking about, idiot? So, blaming what we did, which was very aggressive. There were two high-profile races in the country, Christie's and McDonald's.
Right.
I sat down with the RGA, and we worked out a strategy. Because of the campaign finance laws, it was easier for me to take some of the investment that the RGA would make and put it into Virginia. They focused on New Jersey. We put about $4 million into New Jersey. The rest we put into Virginia, and we won both of those because we were very.
But hold on a minute.
Put money on the ground.
I got to follow up on here because look. If you're the chairman of the RNC, you've got to look at things. You got to say, where can the money do the most good?
That's right.
And if you look at the situation in the polls, he was like 12, 14 points behind Cuccinelli was.
Yeah.
And don't you, as the chairman of the RNC, say, you know what? My heart's with you, Ken, but quite frankly, you're so far behind, I'm not sure that it makes a lot of sense to spend that money.
No, you don't do that because there's other information that you have. It's not just the polling that you're looking at. You're looking at the organization, you're looking at the cash on hand, you're looking at the volunteer structure. There are a whole lot of other pieces that go into it.
Well, and also, I'm sorry for interrupting you. You're also, don't you take into account the fact that Cuccinelli was having a big problem raising money for himself?
Sure,
you had the advantage of having McDonnell being a really good fundraiser.
But you're not in a two-state race, and only two races in the country. You're not going to write off one of them just willy-nilly. You're going to have to engage at some level in some degree.
And do you think that's what they did? Do you think they wrote off Virginia?
I don't know what they did. I really, honestly, I don't know what they did or what decisions that were made there. I just know in talking to a lot of folks on the ground, a lot of the base folks, that's the feeling that they have. So, for me, I probably would have done things a little bit differently. I'm a very aggressive political operative, and I take the risks. And I live in a risk-reward world. That's what a chairman does. And you have to make a call. Look, I got criticized, Brian, for spending money on state legislative races. The RNC up until 2010 had never done that. They would not put money into a race for the state legislature because they were all about the federal campaign. As a former county and state chairman, I know that's where the action is. If you want to turn your opportunities, you get the next generation in line right now. And look what happened. If we hadn't put the money into a Wisconsin, Scott Walker wouldn't have had a Republican legislature to do what he needed to do in his state. We flipped 11 states by
man.
putting those investments in. So those are risks you take.
Michael Steele taking credit for Scott Walker in Wisconsin. Now, Reince Priebus is definitely going to love you doing that, Mike. Look,
baby, my watch is my watch. What can I
Reince
say, right?
Priebus on line 3.
I want to change this up real fast because you're spending so much time on MSNBC right now. You must be having a great time watching Obamacare roll out because you and many other Republicans back during your time at the RNC were warning that this is exactly what would happen. Something is happening though here, and I want to play for you some audio from last night's Country Music Awards. This is Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood. Listen to this real fast, Chairman Steele.
Okay.
Oh, this is getting on my last nerve. Obamacare by morning, over 6 people served.
They did a whole, it was about a minute and a half parody of Amarillo by Morning, right?
George Strait.
But it was called Obamacare by Morning, and you heard the crowd respond there. That video is going viral. You can see it, by the way, at WMAL.com. There's a cultural shift happening here.
Sure
it's okay to call President Obama and the Emperor's new clothing here, isn't there, Chairman
Well,
Steele?
there is, and that's one of the dynamics going back to the last conversation we had that comes into play. It sneaks up on you, and you don't know. Now, look, we know that there's been a delayed reaction, effectively, because of the government shutdown. Americans were concentrated on what the Congress wasn't doing to solve a fiscal crisis or avert an even bigger one. And now that we're past that, all the letters are hitting, all the realities are beginning to set in, and people go, wait a minute, you didn't tell me half the crap that I'm getting coming through my front door. And so that dynamic is going to get played out. The White House is spinning like crazy to try to get in front of it. I said then, I say now, congressional Republicans, let the Democrats own this. Let them have it. They wanted it.
Yep.
Let them have it. And let them stand before the American people and explain why. I'm sorry, the doctors you had for the last 15, 20 years, not so much anymore.
Yeah. There's no doubt they own that.
Yeah.
All right, Michael Steele, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys, take care.